my bias that we all have a desire to be known. Now, sometimes we may want to hide things about ourselves or circumstances or situations. But if we're really honest, we all want to be known. And we want to, even if it's the simple things, like if you know me, love coffee. I think about it, I dream about it, I talk about it, and I love that at Lassiter's Coffee Shop in Cleveland, I can go in and they know I want a 12-ounce Americano with steamed cream, a little bit brown with 1 Splenda. That is what they know I want, and I feel known. But it's not just little things like that. It is the deepest parts of our heart. I believe it's a desire inside of us to be known. I grew up with my best friend. In fact, we were roommates. I am blessed to be, with the Lord's sense of humor, an identical twin to my sister, Michelle Humbert. In fact, we looked so much alike. Most people never called me by name. They always called me a hand sister because they didn't want to get it wrong. And sometimes that just drove me crazy, but I understood because I was called by her name so many times. I a few times introduced myself as Michelle. How do you recover from that, friends? In fact, one time we looked so much alike that I was actually in high school, so I was not a young thing, and we were dressed alike for our youth group event, all wearing matching t-shirts and jeans, and we were in separate parts of this aquarium looking at fish. And all of a sudden, I see my sister. I'm like, "Oh, Michelle, are you having fun?" And no response. And she's a usually very jolly girl. So I'm like, she's not talking back to me. So I just kept talking to her. No response. All these people were watching. And then I just decided to give her a little love pat. Like a little tap on the arm. Why aren't you paying attention? And when I did, I realized I was, in fact, speaking to myself in a mirror in an aquarium tank. In front of all of these people. So I get it. I get why people didn't know my name or know me. But the truth is, I desired to be known as Jennifer Hand. I desired to be noticed for me. I desire that. And you probably may not have an identical twin, but you desire to be known also. And this is what I have found about God. He has called me by name. Isaiah 43:1 promises that. And I love that I may walk into a room full of complete strangers and no one know who I am. No one know what makes me come alive. No one know the deepest parts of my heart or the most narrow parts of my heart. But what I do know is I always walk into a room with a God who knows everything about me and everything about you. He, it says in Psalms 139, has searched you and he knows you. He knows when you sit down and when you rise up or when you talk to yourself in a mirror. He knows. He's acquainted with all your ways, Psalms 139, verse 3. And it says, even before a word is on my lips, oh Lord, you know it altogether. What a gift. That the same God that flung the stars into space and knows exactly where every one of them is the same God. He spoke those stars into being that wants to speak into you. He knows you. You are known. 1 Corinthians 8:3. If anyone loves God, he is known by God. I just wonder how many of you today, right now, watching this video on the internet, wherever you are sitting right now, just need to know that you are known by God, who knows the end and the beginning and the middle of your story. And he is writing a beautiful story for you with him as the author and the finisher and the perfecter. And he knows you. I believe, as I have a degree in counseling, actually, which really just taught me to say, how's that make you feel, and tell me more. But I have a degree in counseling, and I realized quickly that sitting in a small room with people all day long, was not my thing. I wanted to be out and about. But I do use what I learned. And what I have learned, as I hear women's hearts over and over and over and over again, is we want to be known. We also want to be wanted. But we generally move from wanting to be known to putting on an identity for ourselves that we want to be known for. Isn't that true? I was known my whole life as a hand twin. So when my sister got married, I loved her husband, but I remember that wedding day standing there, and the moment she said, "I do," I thought, oh no, who am I now? She's no longer a hand twin. She has a new name. Who am I now? Who am I without that? What is my identity? And we all try to put on these identities that we like, whether you're a wife or a mom or the best nursery worker or the one who makes the casserole for every person in your church anytime they need. We put on these super identities that we think is how we are wanted. And I had this wonderful identity after I decided I'm no longer my sister's twin. We're still twins. That didn't stop happening. But we don't share a name anymore. And I decided at that point to take on the identity of missionary. I remember wanting to be a missionary as long as I can remember. I'm 8 years old, accepted Christ. That same time, I decided I wanted to teach God's word to people. So I made all my friends on the playground come to Bible Club with my Precious Moments Bible. And I was sure revival was breaking out. But that was probably because everyone wanted to get saved so they could go play on the swing set again. But I had Bible Club. At that same time, I found out about missions around the world and knew I wanted to be a missionary. So when I graduated college, I told everyone I'm going to be a missionary. And before I knew it, that was my identity. I was appointed to go serve in a third world country as a single woman where no one wants to go. And as I began to raise support and talk to churches, people put me on higher and higher pedestals. And pretty soon I put myself in this role, this identity as a missionary, so high that I felt for sure I probably didn't need to ride a plane to get to Nepal. I just needed the cape that came with being super missionary Jen. I also convinced myself that one day they were going to name a missionary offering after me. But you may not have the identity as missionary. But I know that you have an identity that can so easily become what you wrap your worth in, who you are in, and what you live for in. And the thing is that the only identity we were created to wear well is daughter of the King, loved by Jesus. He has taught me that he not only knows me, but he wants me. And how I learned that is when I got to Nepal, the place I had for sure thought once I got there everyone was going to get saved. And that was my identity. I was going to write home these missionary letters where every person that I encountered accepted Christ. But what I found instead is I arrived to find out my whole team was on furlough in America, forgot to tell me. So I didn't know how to do anything. And about 6 months in, I went to visit a village. I thought I was made for village life. So exciting. The whole village going to have not only a revival, they had never heard of Jesus. My missionary identity was that God was going to use me because he needed me. Mm-hmm. And your identity may be that your family needs you, or your church needs you, or your job needs you to be the best, to do the best. And all those things are fine when they're out of an outflow of our identity in Christ. So I got to this village, and about a week in, they had never seen anyone foreign before. So I was the show. And I'm not going to go into details and tell you how this happened, but I went to make a mark for the Lord and said somehow I ended up burning down the only outhouse the village had.
Oh no.
That was not the impact for Jesus that I was expecting.
I want to know that.
But I remember one day, in the midst of all that, I found I didn't love these people. I didn't love what I was doing. And if you could have flown me home to eat $1 McDonald's hamburger, I would have gone in a heartbeat. And I remember falling face down in a dirt floor, literally a dirt floor of a home. My face, nose in the dirt. And I cried out to God and I said, God, you must be so disappointed in me because you need me. And this is what God said to me. He said very clearly, and I just want to encourage your heart with this today. He said, Jen, I never needed you, but I want you. Ladies, God does not need us, but he wants us. He gave me that day Psalm 63, which says, O God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you as in a dry and weary land where there is no water. Because your steadfast love is better than life, my lips will praise you. And it goes on to, in the end of the passage, in verse 5, says, my soul will be satisfied as with rich and fat food, and my mouth will praise you with joyful lips. My soul clings to you, your right hand upholds me. See, he and his identity for me, and who he says I am, and that is wanted enough that he sent his son to die for me and for you. And all of my mess, and all of my good, my bad, and my ugly, and all of yours. He wanted me. He didn't need me. He wanted me, and he wants you, and he is the only thing that can satisfy your soul, where your soul can cling to him, not your identity. I love that verse, my soul clings to you, your right hand upholds me. So much that I had my friend actually paint a painting with that verse in Nepal. And she wasn't quite familiar with English, and she wrote it, my soul dings to you. And I thought, that is true. Sometimes my soul clings, sometimes my soul dings, but no matter what, his hand is what upholds me and you. And I am wanted, not needed by God. And when I am walking with God, it is amazing, the Ephesians 3:20 things that we can see him do, which says that he has more for me and you than we could ask or imagine. He knows you in your deepest, darkest parts, and in the little parts that make you come alive. He wants you. And lastly, he has invited you. That is the most exciting thing to me, because I think we all want to be invited to a party. At least I do. And I love that I was invited to a John 10:10 style party. And that says that Jesus came to give me life and life abundantly. And that life, it does not say will be trial and trouble free, unfortunately. But what it does say, when you read and study the context of this word, in the Greek it is Zoe, which means the absolute blessedness of a creature. Jesus came to invite me to a life where I'm the most absolute blessed creature. Because why? I'm known by him. I am wanted by him, and I'm invited by him to live life with him and through him. I don't know if you've ever been invited to a party that you didn't really feel like you should be at. But I just want to end with this. I once was accidentally, I went to I was staying in a hotel in Nepal for the summer, and I walked down from my room and I hear there's having a wedding party. Which weddings, big dramatic things there. Long. They take a long time. And I hear, as I'm walking down the stairs, loud music, and the next thing I hear is, and here comes our American dancer. And I thought, surely there's another American here. No, I was the only American around. They come again in the loudspeaker. And here comes our American dancer. So something you should know about me, I was kicked out of ballet as a kid. In college, I had to take dance class twice because I failed it the first time. And I only had to take it because I had a major in church vocations. Clearly not a Baptist college that I went to, because I had to take dance. But I am not a dancer. And I hear again, here comes our American dancer. Next thing I know, they grab me, bring me up front, and everyone gathers around to see the American dancer. I was invited to a party that I did not feel I belonged at. But I did the only thing I needed to do. They started playing the Hindi music, and I did the electric slide. That's all I knew. I was invited to a party that I didn't feel I needed to be at. But as the more I moved my feet, and the more I didn't care what anyone else saw or experienced, but that I was there in that moment, dancing my little heart out, the Lord whispered, I will always turn your mourning into dancing. That's what he promises us in Psalms. And he just reminded me, I invite you to do this every day, to walk onto the stage of life when you don't know the dance moves, you don't know the steps, you don't even know what the partner dancing looks like, but you do know one thing, you have been called to this party. Jesus has invited you to life. He's invited you to come alive, to live a life so that people want to be at the party you're at. And he has invited you to experience his presence, and that he knows you, he wants you, and he is dancing with you.